Hi folks, my name is Linda Emmett and welcome to Happiness is an Inside Job. We are the creators of our own reality, we create our own lives. Our mind is our biggest limit and it's our own beliefs, behaviours and habits constantly caught in those cycles that keep us trapped where we are and stand in the way of our own happiness. So throughout this podcast, we're going to take a deep dive into some of those beliefs, habits and patterns, where they show up in your lives and what you can do to change them. Hi folks, on this week's podcast we're going to talk about dopamine and dopamine hits, because this shows up a lot with my clients in some of the behaviours they have, in some of the places that they are, that they feel stuck but are questioning why they keep returning back to the same behaviour. So first, what dopamine is. Dopamine in itself is it's a hormone, it's a neurotransmitter, and unknown, it plays a role in a lot of important body functions, our memory, our movement. But the thing we know it most for is it's associated with pleasurable reward, a reward center in our brain, and motivation. They're the things we know it for best. And high or low levels of dopamine can impact they're related to several mental health issues and some neurological diseases. But what I want to talk about today is, dopamine hits, why we seek them so much, and at the same time are quite angry with ourselves for constantly returning to the same behaviours. One that shows up hugely with things I'd see every day with clients is food. That shows up a lot. I'll have clients ask, I really, really want to lose weight. I want to shift this, but every evening I will have a huge meal and have a feast. I am great all day, but when it comes to the evening or nighttime, it's either, what they call the wine witch, or it's having an absolute feast. And then straight after that, the shame or the guilt kicks in. And there's a number of reasons that we remain in these habits that feel like a hamster wheel and feel like they're out of our control. One being, our brain is naturally hardwired to move away from pain and towards reward. If you've deemed that behaviour a reward, and you're, say, driving home in your car and you're going, God, that was an exhausting day, I was a bit stressed, or whatever that is, you're putting a few negative emotions on your day. You're naturally thinking of those things, those painful things, those negative emotions. So therefore your brain is gearing you towards a reward. Or you're telling yourself, subconsciously, I deserve. And it's what you then deem as a reward is what you'll naturally move towards. The second thing being, we develop habits and patterns. And our brain loves the comfort zone. It deems it safe. It deems those behaviours safe and okay. And its primary function is your survival. So therefore your safety. Not your happiness, not your goals. Its primary function is your safety. So the comfort zone is safe. So if you've developed a habit of sitting of an evening and having a little munch bunch for yourself, a bit of a binge or a bottle of wine or whatever that is, and you deem that a reward, what happens is it's not the actual food or alcohol. It is, one, the picture we put on it, and two, we release dopamine at the thought of having these things, not when we have them. So we start releasing the dopamine when we're thinking of having this reward, and this also motivates us to do that action. So we live in a very fast-paced society where we expect everything now. We're used to getting everything now. Everything, whether whether it's food, whether it's we're looking something up online, everything is extremely fast paced. And we're moving more towards getting dopamine hits out of a lot of what we do, be it scrolling on our phone, getting those likes on the social media, getting those interactions, those engagements, food, alcohol. We've inbuilt a lot of behaviours, gaming, all of these things, none of them bad in of themselves. No behaviour is bad. It's what we're using it for. And the same with our comfort behaviours. Comfort behaviours tend to be us self-soothing. So it's what are you comforting yourself from? When you have any comfort in behaviour, that it's something that keeps showing up, is making you feel like you're on a hamster wheel, something you feel is out of your control because you keep returning to it, what is it you're comforting yourself from? What are you self-soothing from? And another thing that shows up regularly, again with clients that I work with, is when I ask the question to them, well, what else are you doing in your life that brings you joy, that brings you actual happiness, that's releasing that oxytocin? And when they take a look at their lives, there isn't a lot built in for them. They're not a priority in their own lives. Work is, other people is, but not themselves. And they tend to be running ahead of an emotion like loneliness, like sadness, grief, shame, guilt. So these comfort behaviours are soothing them from what they're really helping them escape what they're really feeling, or numbing out what they're really feeling. So unless we're dealing with the emotions and the deep feelings in the backdrop, the ones that are driving the behaviours in the first place, this is why we keep returning to the same behaviours. It's what we deem it as that tends to be the issue. For me, when I drank, I was going to say when I was a drinker, I don't know why you call it, but when I drank, it wasn't alcohol itself wasn't the issue. It's what I was using it for. I was using it to numb out painful emotions. I was using it to escape. I was using it because it gave me Dutch courage before I went out to an event, or I believed it did. I was using it for many, many reasons. And it was what was behind those many, many reasons. What was I trying to escape from? One, loneliness, low self-worth, and a lot of painful emotions that I hadn't processed and I hadn't dealt with. And things I was afraid of, things I was afraid I'd see if I wasn't drinking. So again, it's not food, it's not watching Netflix, it's not alcohol, it's what we're using them for. It's the same way, even, well, cigarettes I suppose are a little bit different because we're killing ourselves slowly with them, but that can be true of the likes of your alcohol and your food and things like that, depending on what level the behaviour is taking you to. But it's looking at what's going on in the background. As I say, for some of the clients that I work with, a lot of them actually, it's if the meal at the end of the evening, or the wine at night, or the munches is the only thing that they deem joyful or rewarding in their day, that's why we keep returning to it. That's what we're seeking. We're seeking that reward. We're seeking that joy. We're seeking that dopamine hit that makes us feel good. So just two things to look at there. One is, why are other things in your life not making you feel good, like connection, love, belonging, relationships, fun, laughter? Do you need to bring more of them into your lives? Did more of that in? I know certainly for me, I absolutely did. And it was shifting. I know I gave up alcohol in the end. That's the personal choice I made for me. But before I did that, I started working on shifting my relationship with alcohol, what I was using it for, why I was using it, what things weren't in my life, what things I wasn't allowing myself have, things I didn't deem myself worthy of, because that's what I was trying to replace with alcohol. And it's the same with food, it's the same with any of our comfort and behaviours. We tend to be using them to replace something else we're not getting. And where our dopamine hits, that's where they come in. We're getting an immediate reward from a dopamine hit. immediately we're getting a hit, we're getting a little high, and the brain is extremely efficient. And the more we do something, the more of it we have to do to get that dopamine hit. So that's why we keep returning to the behavior. And it's nearly like drugs in a way. Like a lot of drugs are actually dopamine heavy. You get a huge dopamine hit from drugs. Do you know what I mean? But the more they return to the drug, the more they have to use to get the dopamine hit. So you can get caught then in a spiral where something that did give you the dopamine hit in the past, you have to do more and more and more of chasing that hit. When again, it's about looking in the background at what you're not getting. Why are you trying to fill that void with the dopamine hits? And then looking at detoxing yourself from dopamine hits in the first place and starting to fill your life with more joy. And that involves looking and asking yourself what it is you want more of in your life, what it is that the dopamine is comforting you from. By actually looking at the behaviours that you do, like phone scrolling is one of them. Relentlessly scrolling through your phone to get those hits, to get those likes. Half the time you look at the phone in your hand and you go, why, what am I looking for here? You put it down, 10 minutes later you're back on the phone again. And you go, why am I after picking this up? And again, we're subconsciously seeking dopamine hits. So it's building in conscious behaviours to start detoxing yourself. Because what happens is, over time, we can become dopamine dopey, which means we spend a huge amount of our time in zombie mode, endlessly scrolling through our phones, giving hours to it, or, watching endless, relentless episodes of on TV, wondering why we're watching this, sometimes with phone in hand, because we've become a slave to our own dopamine hits. And as I mentioned, the more we do it, the more regular it is in our lives and is in our days, the more we need to do to get the hits, and the more we're chasing it. So it's looking at what is missing in our lives, what we want in our lives, and also looking at our day-to-days and doing a dopamine detox, detoxing ourselves from some of those behaviours that aren't bringing us any happiness or joy anyway. Behaviours that we're asking ourselves, why do I keep doing this? Why am I on this hamster wheel? Why am I out of control of this behaviour? It's just making conscious choice about it. First thing, look at where it's shown up in your life. What dopamine habits are you in? What numbing behaviours are you in? Or what things are you deeming kind of, you see it as a reward, but it's actually making you unhappy. It's causing you to be, uncomfortable in your own skin. You're not at the, you're not reaching the health or fitness goals you want to reach, or, whatever it is. It's looking at what it's stopping you doing. Then what is the behaviour in there that you are doing? When has it shown up? And then, as I say, start performing a dopamine detox. If I'm honest, I think we could all do with this at times. I think we're dopamine wolves. We're so attached to our phones, our quick hits of everything, grabbing something on the go. We live very fast-paced lives, and the dopamine keeps us, ticking over. It's giving us those little hits, but it's stopping us really living, stopping us really feeling and doing the things that we want to do. And above all else, it stops us achieving the real goals we want and the real desires we have. And we're filling a void with it. So cutting out some of those dopamine hits makes a massive difference. It also allows your brain to dilute down, to re-regulate that. If you do invite some of these activities back in at a lower level, your receptors don't need as much to give you those hits. So first off, looking at what your dopamine hits are in your life. Is it food? Is it, for me, it tends to be chocolate. That's a dopamine hit for me. A bit of Netflix, although I think I've watched all the series, if I'm honest, but a bit of bit of TV, you know, but they're the ones I suppose that show up in my life from time to time. The phone, yeah, checking content, checking things I've put out, bits and pieces, but I am very mindful. I think I've learned that it doesn't give me what I want, and I have a lot more joy and fun and laughter in my life. But when I don't, when things aren't great, you do naturally see yourself returning to some of these behaviours and then wondering why you're feeling more crap about yourself. So looking at ways to delete dopamine out of your life, or even dial it down. Give yourself a detox, like we give our physical body a detox. We pay so much attention to our physical body, but you know, a mental detox is absolutely brilliant for us, and it gets us inviting in some of the stuff that we really want, because with the dopamine removed, we are forced to look at, well, what void was I filling? And for a lot of us, it can tend to be, you know, a bit of loneliness in there, or the things we don't want to feel, things that are in our lives that are possibly hurting us, but we're scared to deal with them. So instead, we're filling the void with dopamine. But when you remove some of the dopamine, it does mean that you do take a look at what's behind it. You do feel those emotions, and you do then get to work on what's really, you know, what you're really covering up, what void you're filling. And it then leaves you open to achieve those goals and desires, achieve that happiness, feel that joy, have those real belly laughs and belly chuckles, the ones we don't tend to get so much or at all from our phone or from when we eat the bar of chocolate. I've never been in bits laughing eating a bar of chocolate, although I'll still tell you, you know, it's a reward. What do I really get there? You know, I don't get the lols. But anyhow, back to how we can do a dopamine detox for ourselves. Look at what's showing up. What are you doing? Is it endless scrolling? Is it the foods? Is it smoking? Is a bit of all of them. Look at where it's showing up in your life. Then start becoming aware of what it is, where it's showing up. Start then. First off, if you want to change a habit of, in the evening you sit down for 4 hours on your sofa and just watch endless crap. If you want to break the habit and do a detox, don't just go home and sit on the same sofa, because what happens is you're re-triggering the cues for that behavior. Change the pattern, change what you're doing in the evening. Chances are you want to be doing something else anyway. You're going, oh, I'm not going out for a walk. I never go out for the walks I say I do. Or you want to meet up with friends. You want to make those calls to family, to friends, whatever it is you want to be doing. Start changing the pattern and doing more of the things you want to do. If you've a series of crap on your phone, apps you haven't used in years, start dialing all of that down. Start leaving your phone the other side of the room. You know, if it's an emergency, people tend to ring you more than once anyway. Do you know what I mean? They'll get to you if they need to. We've so many different medias. So leaving your phone the other side of the room, knocking it off earlier at night, knocking the TV off or the laptop or wherever you're on, to go have that bath or talk to a loved one or do again some of the things that you want to be doing. Getting out there, talking to people, reading, learn a new skill. We all have things. I'm saying since January I joined a running club around the corner. Now I do go out and run, but the running club again is, you know, it's you're meeting people, meeting new people, you're running with company. So I'm getting to do the same thing, but I'm adding to it. I still haven't went around and joined that running club, so this has actually reminded me it's something I want to do. But it's things like that. And it's building those things in, because we all have things that we often say, you know, look, we'll have to start. You're out with someone, you have a great time, be it in the pub, at the zoo for a meal, and we often go, you know, we need to do more of this. We need to be doing more of this. This was brilliant. And then we go home and return to our dopamine hits. So getting rid of a lot of them, detoxing from them, it gives us the time and the space to be doing the things that we really want. So deleting the apps, clearing the space that you're in, clearing out, doing a good cleanse of the space that you're in. Be it your, you know, your desk, your home environment, where you're sitting is impacting how you're feeling. If the environment you're sitting in is chaotic, it's creating chaos inside. So to bring on more of those Zen feelings, clear out your area, do that declutter, get rid of what you don't need. Don't torture yourself for the build-up of, having a pile of 12 books in the corner that you committed to reading and beat yourself up that you still haven't got around to doing them. That's not fun. That's not a reward. You're giving out to yourself. So that's not something that you deem as something that you want to do. All these I should be doing, throw should out the window. What do you want to be doing? What makes you laugh? What brings you joy? Start moving towards those things. A lot of the time we focus on a lot of what we don't want. I don't want to be overweight. I don't want to be stressed. I don't want to be down. I don't want to be broke. Okay, what do you want? What way do we want to be feeling? I want to feel healthy. I want to feel strong. I want to feel fit. Okay, go after that shit. Go get what you want and cut the dopamine out. I know one of my close friends drinks, God, it must be about 12 cans of Coke a day. Again, she knows she doesn't want to be doing it anymore, but still keeps doing it. So when you dive in and you say to her, well, what are you getting from that? She'll say, it's me thing. Yeah, but what are you getting from it? It's me. It's what I do. It's my little treat. It's my little reward. Yeah, she's very unhappy in her own skin. She's 2 stone above where she wants to be. So is it bringing her happiness? Is it bringing her reward? So it's looking at the reality of some of these things and asking those questions. What am I actually getting from this? Or am I just in a pattern of chasing this behaviour, thinking I'm getting something? It's like chasing the pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. It's not there. And it's these things, looking at the reality and then starting to boot some of them out. Dial down the phone use, dial down the laptop, unplug the TV. Don't sit in the same spaces or be in the same spaces that you keep driving the same habits. If it's a thing that you find you're overeating at night, huge thing we can do is not buy the crap you overeat on. Get those things out of your way. If you do have to drive and get some of those things, you're consciously thinking. It gives you the space and the time to go, well, do I want to be doing this? Do I want to be going and getting those? Or what's the reason I don't have them in the house? It's shifting our habits, shifting our patterns, but getting in there, seeing them first, and then actively shifting them. And it's for us all, guys, it's remembering the version of ourselves that we want to be is already there. It's just sitting underneath, a lot of dopamine hit behaviours and hamster wheel behaviours that we don't want. And it's not changing who we are. It's just getting rid of the gunk that's sitting on top of that. That's where our happiness lies. And we deserve that. So that's it for me for this week, guys. I hope you really enjoyed it and got some fabulous takeaways. And as always, I invite you to connect in with me across social media or check me out on my website, www.yourgifttoyou.com, or email me, linda@yourgifttoyou.com, guys, because I'd love to hear from you and any topics you'd like for us to talk about or any more learnings that you want. And please remember, give me those reviews because it keeps the podcast getting out there to more people. So chat to you very soon, guys. Bye-bye.